That will be good. A lot of people are watching remotely today. They were texting.
Is there a separate WhatsApp group for?
Yeah, no. Oh, you are not there. I'll add you.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
that's where the material, everything comes.
is that where the material comes? Okay. Because I didn't see last.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
A lot of his videos are wonderful. Swami Tadatmananda.
Oh, his
It's
teaching classes are.
I haven't been. He used to conduct classes here.
Yeah, it's still there. They have a New Year program. So if you can make it, it's good. Like 11 o'clock.
What time?
I think 11 o'clock he has the talk.
Okay.
So I always go, when Swami Vivekananda was there, I used to go to his ashram, but now he's not more.
Yeah.
So I feel completely vacuum when I go there. So I go to this Ashabodha center.
So you go the road trips and
Somerset.
Yeah, 2021 New Year we will celebrate here.
Yeah, we should.
Ashwat is on Somerset.
Yeah.
On Eastern Avenue.
No, 27 and Cortelius Lane.
I might still do a meditation session on New Year here, evening.
It will be nice if you can
just start with the New Year with a very systematic meditation. And we are restarting our meditation sessions.
Second time I'm talking it.
You have insurance on it.
I don't have it.
That's one of the reasons I have a hard case on my phone.
Yeah, I have the hard case. Hard cases are good.
Or just use Amex to buy the phone. No, really. If you have any issues, Amex is beautiful with insurance. Because when you buy the phone, that comes with 1 year's insurance. If you buy through with an Amex card, it adds a year to it. And if you have any issues with that, if you call them up, it's still like that. Beautiful.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good to know.
My iPhone actually died second year. Almost last day.
Oh my God.
They gave me all the money back. Yeah, Amex just gave me my money back.
Oh my God.
But the latest iPhone is good in recording. That is the only difference.
I see.
The audio there is the audio zoom. Like wherever the video is focused, the audio gets recorded there.
Oh, that's good.
You mean the level?
Yeah, lovely.
This picturization is also.
This is a Pro, right? 11 Pro.
Yeah, Pro.
Beautiful paintings.
Yeah. This is ISKCON. ISKCON is known for their paintings. Like, it's all some Western art people did that. The quality is amazing.
I didn't know they have their own channel now.
ISKCON?
Hare Krishna channel.
I wish.
So today they were showing sattvic foods.
I see.
Cooking sattvic foods.
Interesting.
I don't even know that. Just flipping through a box.
But you should read Radhanath Swamiji's books. Mm-hmm. Journey Within and Journey Home. Amazing. Simply amazing.
Yeah, I met him actually when we had our holistic wellness. He had a session exactly on the other room. So I just happened to run into him.
Wow. What a blessing.
Yeah. Last time, yeah.
It was not by chance. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where it was.
Yeah.
Seconds.
We'll start with the fire.
Thank you. Two more.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Okay, so the final session of this year, which is the second topic of chapter 2. We are exactly going to be stopping in a very convenient place, and when we restart next year, that's where the real Gita begins. So we'll stop at verse 9, and verse 10 onwards, the real Gita begins. Till now, it is the context and the problem statement. So from the problem statement, we are going to see the solution when we start the new year. So everything.
So no class next 2 weeks, right?
No, next week we won't have any class. But before that, let me ask a few questions, because right now we covered almost 17 sessions. This has happened to be the 18th session. So anybody is interested in learning chanting, we can do that. Okay, good. So we'll have some separate sessions, because the purpose is different. We can have so many teachers who can teach you chanting. So they can come and tell you, break the words apart and do that. That's point number 1. So we'll find some time, like each chapter. Those who are interested in chanting, even kids can be taken, those who are interested. So the teacher will come and we can do that. That's one thing. Any questions so far, major questions? If there is any clarifications needed on the context or what exactly we covered, I can come any day. Like we can, some informal discussion we can have, or you can post that on the WhatsApp group. Any question, post there. That's it. We can try to answer, not just me. Like there are other people also who are capable of answering better than me. So in the group, we have good teachers, so they can all answer. So Sanskrit, we have the Sanskrit experts. Every topic we have the appropriate people. So please put that in. So having said that, let's start. Let's do a recap. Recap of chapter 2. So we saw only 3 verses last week. So we said the second chapter of the Gita is what? It's a summary of the entire Gita. I explained why that particular style is followed by the scriptures. You could see similar type of approaches in other. Oh, it's out. Okay, we have the matter now. We can fix it. Just for others' sake, we were trying to locate where exactly from the beat comes in, because last Thursday we removed all the batteries and changed it. So it's outside. Okay, so you can see that style in every scriptures, not just the Sanskrit scriptures. If you go to like Malayalam scriptures or Tamil, that style of writing was there, because once upon a time you didn't have printed books. When you don't have printed books, how do you communicate the index and how do you communicate the summary? So I said, like, the first word of first chapter combined with the last word of the last chapter should give the theme of the book. That was the conventional style. I explained that with the Bhagavad Gita. Dharma plus mama. Mama dharma. What is my dharma? That is the theme of the Bhagavad Gita. So the entire Bhagavad Gita was captured in one word. And then the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is an index. What is traditionally an index? An index is you get what are all the key topics covered. That is what is the second chapter is. And the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is a summary, a recap. Even in modern tradition, right? I talked about various management courses. But one particular course I referred was the executive presence. So in that particular course, how do they tell you to communicate to executives or any audience to that matter? You have to present in first few sentences what exactly you are going to cover. And then the rest of the presentation would focus on the major topics you are covering. At the end, you have to conclude with a summary. And in between, you have to recap, especially with executives. Why? I still remember the word they used. They say, like, in between they go to beaches. Because so even if you don't recap in between and highlight, because your need, you are going there to accomplish something. So you need to make sure that in that time period, everything you need to communicate is in front of them. So even if they miss, you need to make sure that they are not missing it. And very surprisingly, that is the communication style Krishna is following the entire Gita. So you could see in between some repetition, like he is just wanted to make sure that even if you go to beach in 1 or 2 verses, you're getting it. So you could see the Karma Yoga is repeating in between. Whereas some other scriptures like Brahma Sutra or Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is very systematic and you won't find any repetition there. Here, that repetition is not by accident. It is by design. Because this is the idea. So that the style followed. Then the first 2 verses presented Arjuna in a pathetic state. But don't think that it is Arjuna. It is me too. When I am facing a battle of life, it could be a health issue I need to face, or it could be a family issue I need to face, or it could be something very serious where I don't have even a cure. There are situations in life where you don't have a cure, right? So you have to face such situations. If somebody say that the life is only cakewalks, right? No. And if somebody tells that the future is going to be a cakewalk, I would say the other way, because your age is catching up. So you'll have to face some tragedy or the other, right? You could see the loved ones are passing away and you are also sliding into that level, right? You have that sliding into protocol, right? One. It's a pipeline process. You are filling in the pipe. So, yeah. So you have to learn to gain that strength and you have to learn to face that situation. How can you do that? This teaching has to help you. So Arjuna is presented with a serious life situation. Now, each one of you might have gone through some tragedies in your life. So just think of, I don't want to contemplate upon that because that is going to make you depressed right now. Right, that is going to put you into Arjuna state right now, some of you. But think for a moment, the tragedy waiting for Arjuna. In a scale, magnitude of scale, if you compare with the tragedy we faced, right? All his relatives will be killed. And mind you, he has a huge attachment and affection for Bhishma. And his own son is going to pass away. So both sides, people are going to be killed in front of his eyes. And that too, it is not a natural death. He has to kill. Whether he like it or not, he has to do that. So that tragedy is awaiting, right? So a life situation is presented, which is not easy. And we heard 3 words used by Vyasa to brilliantly describe that. Kripaya avishtaha, overwhelmed by emotions. Pity, but it can be generalized as pity in particular, but generally it is emotions. When the emotions are too high, right? If the emotions are too less, that's not good. If the emotions are too much, that is also not good. So what we need, it's a balance. And 14th chapter, we will get a wonderful discussion. How do you balance everything in your life? Not just emotions. Everything you have to balance, because that balance is very much important. Nothing too much is good, not good, right? Nothing too less is also not good. Everything has to be appropriate. So the whole 14th chapter is that discussion. So we'll see that. But right now, emotions are too much. Then that was indicated by another brilliant usage of word. It was a word painting by Vyasa. So Ashru Purna Akula Ikshana. The tears were there in the eyes filled with tears. What type of eyes? It was described. Akula, stressed, extremely stressed eye. I said, like in Sanskrit or any Indian language, what you have to do, when you get a compound word, you have to read that from right to left. When you read that from right to left, you'll get the meaning. This was a tip given to me by our Malayalam teacher. That's very much applicable in every Indian language. If you read that from right to left, you get it. This is the Santhi rule, right? All of you studied Santhi and Samasa. I'm sure it is there in Tamil, it is there in Malayalam, it is there in Telugu, it is there in Sanskrit, that's for sure. Hindi also, it is there. So, Ashrapurna Akulaj. Then what was the third word? Vishidan. He was extremely sad. So, to that person who spoke, Madhusudana spoke these words. Remember the context sensitiveness of Vyasa. Is it like the one who can destroy attachments, obsessions, emotional dependency? He spoke these words to a person who is impacted by the emotional problem.
And the use of name also,
Yeah.
Madhusudana,
Right.
is appropriate because he speaks like honey.
Yeah,
So-
he speak like honey. And second thing is, he can destroy, like that is the meaning, right? Mathu.
Attachment.
He killed the Mathu.
Yes, Madhu Kaitava.
Mathu Kaithaba, and Mathu means it is attachment, obsessions. So that's what it is. Then, when I made one important observation, that's very important. I pulled up one example of these American football. When you are facing an emotional problem, a situational problem, the situation problem has two aspects. One is there's an emotional element, and there is a situational problem. And I told you one example also. One counselor in a book, he wrote a brilliant story. A client came to him, he presented a problem, and he tried to solve the problem. I'm going to make it up. It was a layoff. He lost the job. So somebody was so depressed. He came to me. I'm going to tell, okay, if you do these three things, they will get a job. But still she's crying. Why? She already have an emotional issue. I have to care that emotional issue, right? I have to hug her. I have to talk to her. I have to say that, okay, it's okay. Like, shed your tears. Even if I give the situational solution, without curing the emotional issue, the situational problem will not go to the head. This is a mistake typical Indian parents make to their kids. They never address the emotional issue. They try to solve the situational problem very logically. And that won't work. When somebody is emotionally sad, when somebody is crying, you may not see the reason, but you can see that he is crying. And something he sees is making him cry. Correct? So you have to analyze that. Whether it is legitimate or false, that's a different thing. But remember, you're seeing a snake, so you're afraid. I'm seeing only a raven, so I ridicule him. Why are you? That's not good, because he's afraid of what he sees. Whether he sees it correct or not, that's a different matter. So first, I have to go and hug him, acknowledge him. And I said, like in a war-like situation, in an army battlefield, or in an intense game, what the coaches do, they shout it. All the 4-letter words you can hear in the dressing room. Why? Just to stimulate these people.
It's interesting because as when we have kids when they're younger,
Yeah.
we tend to do it. We tend to address it emotionally
Correct.
first, and then try to reason why, right? But then as they grow older, they kind of forget the emotional part.
But teens need that emotional care much more than the small kids. So the teens' emotions, that's the time the hormone change happens. And that is the time all these emotional issues pops up. You know how much means out of all the people here, all the kids, I presented a statistics, right, in the introduction topic. More than 50% of the teens require some form of counseling in this country. And 1/5 of the teens are under medication.
What about kids in India? Is it the same statistic?
It's catching up to this level.
Probably is.
It's catching up. Very soon it will catch up. But India a little bit
Possibly
more.
has a survival aspect of it, which actually kicks in. Right?
Correct.
And why do the kids over here have that?
The
No,
joint family also
makes
makes
sense.
it.
The
So
joint
the
family
survival
also.
instincts are
Yeah.
a big.
There are so
Parents,
many things.
grandparents,
It is
family.
little bit less, but when you get to all these lives, means see, the material progress is inversely proportional to your emotional issues. I remember one of the conversations Swami Vivekananda had. Like he conducted his first 3-year course in India first, and then he conducted one in California in 76 to 79. After 2-3 lessons, he said like, there is something wrong here, right? All were Caucasians. So he said, I have to do a little bit of psychology lessons here first. That problem was not there in India at that time. But now, because of all these changes, India is also catching up.
Yeah.
Is it because the material progress is increasing in India?
Also,
Plus,
It's
I think
not the problem with the material progress, right? It is the problem. The problem is like otherwise they always have something to look for, right? If you take them to a movie, or if you give them an ice cream, or if you give a little bit of perks, they will be happy. There is something to look for. Here, these kids has almost everything, right?
No, because before they even think they get it,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
there is no longing.
Yeah.
And that,
Then
build up of
not
that
giving
love.
that is not also not a solution.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, it's not a solution, but you have to address it emotionally. See, India, it is not manifesting. That's all, right? Eventually, it will manifest.
Yes.
That's all.
I think the kids here are more alone than the kids in India. There you
Not
have
necessarily.
so many friends. There's no kid. You find no kid at home. As soon as they come from school, they're running out.
I
They're playing with
mean,
kids.
there could
Here, how
always
many
be
kids
exceptions to the rule, but I grew up as a lonely kid. I'm the only child in my parents.
No, but you had neighbors, right? You had neighboring kids around.
No,
Yeah,
not me
but-
in particular.
Okay, so let's come to this, right?
Sure.
So the topic is emotional issues has to be addressed first
Yes.
before you. But this is a wonderful lesson, right? So this is an important point. And then Krishna addresses Arjuna. How he addresses means I'm taking a little bit more time because I really wanted to underline and highlight, because today's topic we can cover quickly, but last week's topic was so important. I just wanted to reiterate and make sure that you take it home. I said, when you talk to somebody, don't say that you are an idiot. That's what typically our you're a fool, you're an idiot, you're good for nothing. Krishna didn't say that to Arjuna. He said, this characteristics is not suited for you. A wonderful lesson, right? This has to be taken by all the parents, all the bosses.
Yes.
Diplomacy.
For your kids.
I
This is-
remember my own boss.
Yeah.
He would never call anybody. He would always use it in a contextual.
Yeah.
Why did you do this idiotic thing?
Correct. That's very important because anybody, the best person in the whole means the world can make idiotic thing on a day.
Yeah.
That's all he tells. This character is not suited for you. And I remember Vivekananda's lifestyle here, life. He gives a wonderful example. One day he uttered a foul word. So his mother said, "Oh, son, is that coming from Narendra?" He didn't say that. Keep quiet, stupid. She never said that, right? He said, can Narendra utter these words? Typically, only Saraswati comes through Narendra's mouth. He said, there afterwards, I never uttered. That was the teaching of the life. Typically, what Indian parents does, my God, that won't work. So this is another lesson we need to address. Then Krishna consoled me. He said, like, your behavior is not like an Aryan. And I said, like, this is not race Aryan, right? I quoted what exactly is the definition of Aryan used here, right? The person who does what needs to be done, and the person who do not do what need not be done, right? Tishtati Prakritachari, one who goes above the animal urges, like there is an animal in each one of us. The one who is able to control the animal passion and behave means like what is a Prakrita and Samskrita, right? Samskrita language means what? It's refined.
Culture.
It's a refined language. That's it. Refined. Like Prakrita means when you get the ore, it is Prakrita form. When you Samskrita means it becomes the hand. Like that, a language develops as a primitive language with some sounds and something. When you have a very structured grammar and everything, that becomes Samskrita. So from that perspective, all the modern languages are Samskrita. But that's just a point of view. But you are not demonstrating the value of an Aryan. Like quoted Buddha, all his teachings was known as Arya Satyani, right? Arya Marga. So it's nothing related to the race. Means I see a lot of commentators trying to compare that as a race, which is wrong. The reason is this. So then he said, after giving him a little bit of hug, he just whipped him also once, just like the coaches do. He said, forget, means this particular attitude you are demonstrating, that is not suited to you. And this is not the characteristics of a man. That means the women are not bad like that. No, he said like you are not demonstrating the characteristics of a warrior. And what is the characteristics of a warrior? He made a brilliant words. Tyaktam hridaya daurbalyam tyakta uttishta parandava. Cast off this weakness. You have to jump up and act. Right now, it's a critical moment of your life. This is a critical moment of your life. Imagine a batsman going out to bat on the World Cup final. That time you cannot say that I'm afraid. Go and demonstrate. This is the moment you are waiting for. This is the moment you have to show your talent. And that time, because Vivekananda quotes, right? Anybody can be a master. Anybody can be a wonderful person when the situations are conducive. But the person who perform at the time that is required, he is the one who is great. So do that. Look at the way this is a pep talk. This is not a spiritual solution. What Krishna did was only a pep talk. That a modern counselor, what does in the modern times, he did that. So that's why Shankaracharya or any big teachers are not considering these two verses as Gita. But I personally feel that this is very important. How he handled the situation. So now, this Nataraja Guru is a famous commentator of Gita. He's a disciple of Sri Narayana Guru from Kerala. Sri Narayana Guru is known as one of the means equal to Shankaracharya. That level of knowledge. Sri Narayana Guru actually was a social reformer. He came from a backward community and he did a lot of social reforms. I just wanted to highlight such master's greatness. And at that point of time, Swami Vivekananda came to South and he came to Kerala and he called Kerala as lunatic asylum. Because the caste discrimination was so bad, you won't even believe, right? They say like you cannot even see in front of your eyes. Such treating human beings as animals, not even worse than animals. Even the cat could go to a temple, but not a human being was allowed. This is ridiculous, right? This is what type of culture is that? So Vivekananda said, like, this is a lunatic asylum, he concluded. So and he said, like, this place will be recovered only if a spiritual giant comes. And true to his words, actually he said this to Dr. Palpu. He means a doctor, an MBBS doctor from a backward community. But since he was from a backward community, he was not allowed to practice in Kerala. So he went to Bangalore. So this was told by Vivekananda to Dr. Palpu. So Sri Narayana Guru popped up. And first thing he did was, nobody was allowed to enter into the temple. So what he did? He installed a Shiva. And he started a temple. All the upper caste people made big issues. He said, don't worry. I initiated a backward Shiva. So don't worry about that. That was his answer. They could not do anything. And then he did temples after temples, schools after schools. He started teaching Sanskrit. He was completely fluent in Malayalam, Tamil, and Sanskrit languages. He started giving lectures on Upanishads. He said that these people are the so-called people who say that I know the scripture, they don't know. Because he used the scripture itself as a pen. At that time, another person also came. His name was Chattambi Swamigal. These two together led a social reform. And Chattambi Swamigal, he wrote a book called Veda Athikara Nirupana. Meaning, who can study Veda? Everybody can study Veda. He quoted the Veda and proved it. And then I'll just tell one more story because these are Shankara. This Narayana Guru was a ardent follower of Advaita Vedanta. So he wrote commentary on Isha Upanishads and everything. And Nataraja Guru was his disciple. Apparently, this Nataraja Guru was the son of Dr. Palpu, to whom Swami Vivekananda spoke. So Nataraja Guru came to England. He studied psychology. He started teaching in Scotland and Switzerland and England. He's a very good master of psychology. And finally, he became a monk because he thought that all the psychology is here. That's exactly what he was saying. He wrote a brilliant commentary on Gita, which is what I was just quoting. So, this one more thing about Narayana Guru. The best temple he installed in Kerala. You know what is the pratishtha of that temple? It's a mirror. So when you go there, you're seeing yourself. He was showing the Tattvamasi. You know that, right? You all know Suresh and Gokul. You might have also heard about Guru. I'll quote about other things. Tamil Nadu also. I want to talk about this Nayanars, that Chidambaram, a little bit later, because the same thing happens in every state. Because the war between the Nayanars are wonderful. You have to talk about that. Karnataka also there are people who will talk about that. But Nataraja Guru said, right? Now, after getting that emotional counseling of Krishna, now Arjuna started making a little bit sense. He is in deep despair still, but at least he started making a little bit sense. He was able to put his arguments correctly now. Still he is depressed, but that emotional healing has happened. First thing is, he just hugged him, and then he said, like, this is not a behavior I expect from you. Okay, so now let's see.
Arjuna Katham Bhishmamaham Sankhe Drodam cha Madhusudana Ishu Vipratiyoshyami Pujartha Varisudana Guru Nagatvahi Mahanubhavan Shreyo Bhoktum Vaikshamapi Galoke Atvarthakamanstu Guruni Haiva Bundiya Bhogan Rudira Pradikhan Nachaitatvidmah Kadaranno Gariyaha Yadvajayema Yadivano Jayehu Yadeva Hatvana Vishabhaha
Have you listened some tune change here? So verse 4 was in one particular meter, verse 5 and 6 is in a different meter. So poetry, by design, it's not very easy. You have to write following certain meter. So in Gita, there are 2 meters used. The popular meter is called Anushtup. Chandas, that's what we call in Sanskrit. Anushtup Chandaha. When you go to temples, these priests, when they chant, right, Vishnu Sahasranama, you hear, right, Anushtup Chandaha. Yes. So Anushtup means there are 4, means you can break this into 4 lines. If you break this into 4 lines, there are 8 characters. But sometimes in Gita, when Vyasa wanted to highlight something, when he wanted to bring your little bit attention, remember, there was no paper at that time. Right now, you can highlight and you can make it bold. But he does. Change the meter. So when you chant, you will notice it. You cannot but miss it. And another thing is, have you thought about poetry? Poetry, the challenge is what? Poetry is good for communicating so many things well. Because the prose cannot communicate the emotion like the poetry, right? See, look at all these famous poets like Kalidasa. But even the modern times, like these Kannadasan and Vairamuthu, all those people, right? Vailar, all those people, like how they write. Wow, how they can communicate emotions much better than prose. But imagine, right, the difference between this Anushtup and the other meeting, the meter is called a Trishtup. Trishtup has a little bit more lines, I believe 12 letters in one quarter. When you have a little bit more letters, the flexibility of the poet is a little bit more. Otherwise, what is he's supposed to, he's constrained by the limited number of characters to communicate what he needs to communicate, which is a problem. So, but if you put long meters, it's not good to listen also. So that's why it's a proper balance. Again, these things are not interested from a spiritual perspective, but these are some of the poetic and grammatic things in Gita.
And Vyasa also had this challenge of having a continuous flow of thought, because if he had stopped, Ganesha would stop writing.
Yeah, that's
That's
another approach
story.
is there. So there's a story, popular story say that Vyasa wanted to write this Mahabharata. It's 100,000 verses. Who can scribe it? Nobody can scribe it. So he invited Lord Ganesha to come there and scribe it. Ganesha said, I can, these are all stories, right? So don't give him more than that, right? He told, like, I can come there and scribe it, but there's a one condition. You have to give me uninterrupted flow of thoughts. I don't want to sit there. You cannot think and give me a verse. Yes, I agree. So that's not the meter he adjusted, but sometimes what happened? He twisted though, means Vyasa put a condition. You cannot scribe something without understanding the meaning. So in between, he put some verses which requires a little bit of thinking from Ganesha. You'll see in second chapter also there are a few verses are there. There is a technical term for such verses. That verses requires a little bit of analysis. So by the time Ganesha analysis, Vyasa will go and have a cup of tea and come back. That is completely okay. So that's stories. There are so many stories about Mahabharata. So Mahabharata by design has 3 different versions. It started with as Jayam. Jayam has 8,000 verses, that's all. Vyasa wrote that. And then what happened? This Mahabharata was told by Vaishambhayana to Janameja in the Sarpasatra, right? So that became Bharata. The Jaya became Bharata. At that time, these 8,000 verses became 24,000 verses. And then what happened? Third iteration, right? Third iteration was in the forest of Naimisharanya. The Suta said to Shaunaka, all these rishis. At that time, this Bharatam became what? Mahabharata. And this 24,000 verses became 100,000 verses. This is how Mahabharata got evolved. Anyway, these are all.
But do we know which of them are
So
progression? Which 8,000 were the original ones?
no. And even in the version of Mahabharata, right, there are 3 different versions. We don't know which is correct. So there is a huge study happened. There is a Pune-based version of Mahabharata, right? There is a Calcutta-based version of Mahabharata, and there is a Tamil Nadu version of Mahabharata, Kumbhakonam version. So a lot of scholars sat together in Pune and tried to reconcile, like what exactly, and they eliminated a few because infiltration and penetration can happen. So these are all historic study. I'll bring these points in between because this is also interesting. These are scholarly information.
The original 8,000 verses, are they contained in the current 100,000?
Yeah, that's what they say.
They are contained.
Yeah, of course. Everything is an addition, right? What happens is when you communicate, right? I mean, when you wanted to, when Einstein formulated his theory, let's assume that it was 500 pages. The next scientist, when he elaborated that, right, he tried to clarify that. For Einstein, means for Newton, how the calculus came into being. Newton was trying to model his laws of motion, and he needed a tool. He invented calculus. He invented the differential calculus for that. So technically, you and I can invent calculus, right? If Newton can invent that, I can also invent that. But try to understand calculus by yourself. You need pages after pages to understand what Newton thought through. Like that, what Vyasa conceived needs further explanation. And even Gita, for Krishna, it was just giving verses to Arjuna was good enough. Now we need we are commenting 4 verses in a day. Right? So it needs more explanation. That's why these additions comes in. That's natural. So now let's see the meaning. Okay, so this is the English. So he tells, this is by Swami Tadatmananda and one verse by Swami Nirmalanandagiri. Nirmalanandagiri is Paramahamsa Yogananda tradition. Both are Caucasians and both have designed these verses where Swami Tadatmananda condensed this into 370 plus verses. Wherever he didn't do that, because he took the important verses only. Wherever he missed, I added that from Swami Vivekananda. So you have at least a different version. So this is, O Krishna, how can I oppose Bhishma and Drona in the war? How can I pierce with arrows sharp those who worthy of my providence? If you read this, you'll get the meaning. Okay, that's the beauty. Then, rather than saying such great people, better to live the life of harms, since by killing them, I would gain their wealth and treasures stained with blood. This is very self-explanatory. Then, indeed, I cannot tell which will be better, that we should conquer them or they should conquer us. The sons of Dhritarashtra stand facing us, after whose slaying we would not wish to live. This is exactly the word meaning. I'll go to the meaning in between. So he said, Katham Bhishmam aham sankhi dronam cha madhusudana ishubhi pradiyotsyami pujarha arisudana. This is the verse. He tells, okay, your saying is correct. This is not the behavior of a army commander-in-chief. I agree with you. Krishna, what did he say? This behavior is not suited for your role. Right? You are the CEO of a company and you are crying that the stock market is going down. In the modern world, if it happens, you are not fit to be a CEO. The role demands certain skills. And if you cannot demonstrate that skills, you are not fit for the role. As simple as that. And he is the commander-in-chief of an army, and you cannot cry. That too, in the warfield. So that's, he said, I agree. Then he said, Oh Madhusudana. He also addressed him, the same name, right? Then he said, one more thing he used, Arisudana. Katham Bhishma Maham Sankhe, Dronam Cha Madhusudana. Okay. You tell me, I am not facing a Genghis Khan. I am not facing a, Genghis Khan story, right? Genghis Khan, right? He has a cartwheel of 36 inches. Wherever he goes, right? He brings people. Those who do not have that, means the height is over that, he will be killed. Thousands of people were killed. And when you fight against Genghis Khan, the opponent don't need to shed any tears. You can fight. So I just quoted that example. But here I am not fighting a Genghis Khan. I am fighting with Bhishma and Drona. By the way, in history, right? History always gives us good lessons. We need to be thankful to one Islamic ruler in India who conveniently avoided Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan has a plan to come to India. But actually, Ibrahim Lodi, right, the ruler of Delhi, somebody was chased by Genghis Khan. He went to Ibrahim Lodi and said, like, please help me, this Genghis Khan is killing me. Ibrahim Lodi preferred to ignore him. If he had gone, if it was a Rajput king, he would have gone and engaged a fight with Genghis Khan, then the whole India would have gone. Again, I'm not saying the merits and demerits, I'm just telling some luck will happen in history. And the whole means, and have you watched the movie Panipat?
Not yet.
Just watch it, and I didn't watch it also because the Panipat battles are so interesting. The first battle was with Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. Second one was with Rana Sanga. Rana Sanga, we talked about him the other day, right? You cannot, as a commander-in-chief, he was so much attached to the fight. He just jumped out of his elephant and just went away, and he was caught by Babur. So this is all history. So he tells, I'm not fighting against an invader. I'm fighting about my own blood. Bhishma and Drona. And what is the characteristics of them? Pujarha Arisudana. They deserve my worship. They do not require my shots. They require my worship. And he used a name to call Krishna. Arisudana. You only fought with enemies. Yes. And I am asked to fight with my own. And that too, good people. These are embodiment of dharma. Such nice people. Gem of a generation. How can I fight with them? Then he said, the meter changes. Guru na hatwahi maha nubhavan. Shreyo podyam paichyam abhivhalogi. Atwamsa kamansh guruni haivan punjiya bhogan rudira pradikha. Right? Guru means I will not kill my gurus. Why? They are Mahanubhavan. What is Mahanubhavan? Anubhava means experience. Mahanubhava means what? Great experience, wonderful experience. These are the treasures of our country, right? I would prefer to take Piksha. Piksha means what?
Arms.
Alms. I would like to prefer Piksha, or in other words, I would try to prefer a low lifestyle rather than fighting with these people. Even if I kill these people and gain the kingdom, what I would be enjoying is stained with their blood. And then he said, I don't know that it is better to conquer them or allow them to conquer me. I'm confused. I don't know what is right or what is wrong. And means those people are standing against me. If I means see, I don't want to live my life if I do not see them in the future, like Bhishma or Drona. So remember now Arjuna expresses it very logically. Now it makes very sense. He's explaining it properly. So he calls Krishna as Adhisudana. Look at the context sensitivity of Vyasa. It tells you kill only enemy. I'm asked to kill my relatives. So subjectively speaking, right? What did we say? I know that there are some bad habits in me. I know that there are some passions in me. There are some personality in me, which may not be dharma or anything like that. But I'm concluding. Is it worth to live? Because I may think that if those characters have gone out of me, it is not me alone. It's a different person. Why should I live that life? I don't want to kill my personality. I want to live.
Rajaji, objectively speaking, though, I mean, subjectively 100%, but
Yeah.
objectively 200% Arjuna is right?
Correct.
It's very hard.
Absolutely. No, even subjectively, it is right. Because I think that as a person, without that 2 drinks or without that cigarette, again, harmless example. I can go further, but without that, people always argue, right? And such people come up with a good philosophy. After all, there is only one life. I told you one guy giving an example, right? For not running. So one guy was asked to do exercise. So he said, like, he did a calculator, pulled out the calculator and did a math. He said, every day you want me to run 1 hour? He asked the doctor. So doctor said, yes. So he said, like, how many years? He said, next 10 years. Like, approximately, right? So it took the approximate time of 10 years. 365 days, 1 hour, times 10, 365 times 10. 365 hours. 3,650 hours. How much lifespan I get because of that? Maybe another 20 days or 30 days. So whatever life I get extra, I'll be on the street. Such people come with creative, wonderful arguments. Krishna answers that in the 6th chapter, right? We'll see those things at that time. But argument is correct. 100. Krishna is not saying that his argument is wrong. So Shankaracharya in his commentary, he said, Krishna didn't say whether to fight or not. He said, whatever decision you make, it has to be from a stable mind. That's all. So now, this is the arguments. So this is the point. Just look at that one diagram. If that arguments came from that second block of mind, we would have agreed with it. Weak, anything comes out of a weak mind is not worth. I told you the example of, quoted Shakespeare. Yeah. This is the language of Shakespeare. Anything coming out of a weak mind is not worth. He concluded that after the famous statement of Othello. What was that famous statement? Put out the light. Then put out the light. Brilliant, right? Put out the light. Then put out the light. This lady was lying on the bed. So put out the light, then put out the light. Why Othello was, why did Othello did that? Othello was a good person. Othello, by characteristics, was a good person. He killed Desdemona because of that doubt. And the decision of killing came from a weak mind or a hyper-stressed mind. So at that point of time, Shakespeare concludes that anything come out of a weak mind is not worthy to pursue. What a teaching! That's Gita.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. So Arjuna's arguments were logical, but from what mental condition it comes? Imagine that you're in an extremely stressful mode, you're in a very, very reactive mode. Do you think that whatever decision you make will have some value at that point of time? What is the nature of that condition? With so much of adrenaline and cortisol, your mind will be functioning in a survival mode, right? Remember, we talked about the science last week. More sciences is coming. Like it is. See, you have this autonomic and non-autonomic nervous systems are there. When you are in stress mode, you are completely under the control of autonomic system. So you don't know, like the subroutines programmed in your brain for the survival instinct is happening. And I told you, I presented this as a manufacturing defect. Why? The science explains this brilliantly. Means, let's just take 1 minute. So, how long is the human history? Million years? How long is the civilized living? 5,000 years. Proportion is 5%. So this is programmed through the 1 million years. What is programmed? It's still influencing all your survival subroutines programmed in your unconscious mind. So that is not correct. And the evolution will fix it. It will take another million years naturally to fix it. And what we are trying to do is acceleration. And that's why Darwin formulated his theory of evolution in 1857, I believe. That was the time he presented that paper. Exactly after 100 years, there was a congress in Chicago. And another scientist, his name is Sir Julian Huxley. Sir Julian Huxley is a British Nobel Prize winner scientist. He presented a paper. He concluded that the organic evolution is stopped with human being. Because you don't need a wings. You have the brain to create a flight, an aeroplane. So the second stage of evolution, he said, is not organic. He said it is called psychosocial evolution. It is the evolution of your psyche. Ability to control your mind. See how it aligns with our teaching, right? So good. Psychosocial evolution. You can Google it. You just Google it, that psychosocial evolution by Sir Julian Huxley. Sir Julian Huxley. So the point is, Arjuna was making these arguments in a hyper-stressed mode. Argument is logical. And these arguments coming out of a weak mind. What is the definition of a weak mind? Having or showing a lack of mental firmness. That's one thing. Then showing mental feebleness or foolish. This definition coming from psychology book, not from Gita. So I just quoted that, the characteristics of a weak mind, and what Vyasa painted is a characteristics of a weak mind. So some observations. So emotional treatment of Krishna started working. Arjuna is able to articulate his problem. He is using a coherent language. That's exactly what you said. His arguments are correct. 200% correct. He is thinking even taking sannyasa. Why? Because he used a word, paichamapi. Like it's better to take picture. In our ancient system, only 2 people are allowed to take picture or ask for freedom. One is students. The other one is sannyasis. Everybody else has to earn their bread. That was our system. So the moment Arjuna indicates bhiksha, that means he's thinking of that sannyasa. Yeah. And that's not the way to take sannyasa. This is called apat sannyasa. Right? The sannyasa itself is classified into multiple levels. Like one is called vidut sannyasa, second one is called vividisha sannyasa, And the third one is called Apat Sannyasa. Vidut Sannyasa means he is full of knowledge. Vividisha Sannyasa means he has not yet reached there, but he is committed to reach there. Then the third category is what? Apat Sannyasa. That is what? When you get a tragedy, you go there. And there's a fourth category. What is that? Fraud Sannyasa. And you can see, right? Ram Rahim, Swami Vivekanand, all those people are there in the modern world. You see that? Kailasham.
New nation,
New
right?
nation.
New
You
nation.
destroyed my name.
Oh my God.
You have a country named after you, right? It's like,
I don't know. It's not a happy
No,
feeling.
it brings a whole disgrace to the entire family. I don't know. Somebody was asking, do you need a visa to come there? Ashwin was asking. Anyway, we don't want to be political. That's not my.
we can all apply for a passport.
Yeah. So he said, like, how can I fight with my own personality or habits? You only fought with demons and enemies. And finally, better to live a low quality life rather than fighting these people. So the next verse, if I pick up 18 top verses of Bhagavad Gita, next one as well. Let's listen to
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतस्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यां निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
it is Shishya, not Shishya. That's an accent. That's what happens when Tamil oriented people chant that. Tamil, that Sha and Sa is same. That's why
Even Telugu.
it's right. Yeah.
Telugu also.
Sha is different from Sa. Sa.
And there are two Shas also.
Yeah. So now, when you are in a problem, I'll tell you one brilliant story. Swami Vivekanand gave the story. That I like that story. Like, imagine a husband and a wife is driving. Not now. Now you have the GPS and all these phones.
With the map.
With a map. I never means when I came, it was printouts. Yahoo.
Yeah, request.
Before that, it was maps.
Yes.
So imagine they were invited to a Thanksgiving party. They're going to a place, to a terrain where they are not used to be there. So after they're driving, but never reaching the house. The wife thinks that, yeah, there is something wrong. No, I can figure it out. It's going on and on and on and on. You may compare these two people. There are two sets of people. One is they're confused, but they don't realize that they're confused. Second people, what? They're confused, but they know that they're confused. So the wife is telling, like, you have to stop into a gas station and ask. The husband is not allowing. This is exactly what it is. So Vyasa brilliantly tells that, right? It's okay to get confused, but you have to know that there is a problem in front of you, and you need to realize that you are confused. And naturally, what you have to do?
Seek help.
Seek help. Seek help from a right person. These are the three messages conveyed through this verse. He tells Arjuna, maybe because of his good culture, good samskara, whatever it is, that is what is called punya. He realized now because of that pep talk by Krishna. Arjuna realized, I am terribly confused. There is a problem in front of me. I am confused and I need to seek help. So once that is done, chances are your problem will be addressed. Now, some people never think that they're confused.
One question,
Yeah.
Rajesh. This may be moot.
Yeah.
But why did it precipitate only when he was at the battlefield, right? Because the talk of the war had been going on for a long
At
time.
that time, he was not confused because the situational pressure, like, it creates a problem. And why Vyasa put Gita at that point of time is Conventionally, it was thought that Upanishads were given in a very relaxed mode, like in Uttarkashi, Himalayan setup. Even if you're stressed, if you go there, you feel relaxed. I experienced it. So that philosophy is not good for a day-to-day life. There is a general belief. So he put that into the most stressful situation of life. So if this can be addressed. So at that point, before the war, Arjuna was intellectually thinking. The emotional aspects was not coming. Right now, he know that okay, I'm going to kill them, and this is what it is. At that time, only he
Because it was built up over a period
of time. See, that's the problem. At that point of time, if he had decided that, it would have been a good decision. At that time, he was 100% convinced.
When you actually do it, it is difficult.
Yeah, actually, when you come there, and even like all these people will say, right, practice matches hit centuries. But the final of the World Cup, look at Tendulkar. I mean, just look at all Tendulkar's finals. You will see 4, 5, 3, 2. Why? He's the best batsman in the whole world. The whole world knows that. But critical time, pressure mounts. That's the point. That's a gold. I told you my story. So I was doing the one big presentation initially. Like I could do this brilliantly. Like when I went to the stage, nothing happened because situational pressure. So he used the word karpanya dosha. Karpanya literally means, I need 5 moments. Miserliness. What is miser? Characteristics of a miser? He has enough money, but like the sorrow of breaking that $20 bill.
It lost control.
the 1 hour.
Okay.
1 hour.
This kind of happened to me. You know, I used to live in Jersey City, so I started from Jersey City at 9 o'clock to go to Bridgewater Temple. And me and my wife and this friend of mine, he knew the directions supposedly. We reached Bridgewater at 4 o'clock in the evening. Just imagine. It took us so long to get there.
That's why I'm scared of giving some of these examples.
Because we kept arguing.
I told you this example, right? One day I gave an example that suppose you go, your tire is flat. One guy went to after the class. I was just telling to somebody, it's very randomly. It was no, I don't know how the world aligned and his car, he didn't have air in the car. What to do? Even in my dream, I did. So karpanya means what is a miser? Like you have $20 bill and you have a restaurant and you're hungry. So the pain of breaking that $20 is okay. Sorry, it is much larger than appeasing your hunger. Such person is miser. So that means he has enough. The point is he has enough resource to solve the problem, but he prefers to suffer. That unbroken note or the bill will give him more satisfaction. So Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad clearly defines who is the real miser. Upanishad tells us you have the full ability to lead a healthy, happy, contented life. All of us. If you know your own true nature, the happiness is always within, and that ability is there. But most of you just keep it, and never experience that happiness and go away from the world. So all such people are misers. So Brihadaranyaka Upanishad tells anybody who departs the world without understanding his nature is a miser, because he had the potential to get that infinite amount of happiness. Krishna tells in the 6th chapter that happiness is not compared to any other happiness you are getting right now, because you are tapping the reservoir of happiness within yourself. And after all, living an 80-year-old life, going without even making an attempt, such a person is a miser. So Arjuna tells that I have that problem. Okay, so let's conclude the verse. Arjuna tells, because of that karpanya dosha, it hijacked my characteristics. Karpanya dosha means my ability to know myself. Inability to know myself has hijacked my characteristics. Then it tells, Prischami tvam dharma sammuta cheta. I am confused with what is dharma and what is adharma. I'm confused. I have no knowledge. So then he tells, Yat Shreyascham Nishchitam Bruhitan me Shishyasteham Shadimantam Pravanam. I take refuge. I'm surrendering it to you. What do you have to do? I'm your disciple, Shishya. So please teach me. What you should teach? You should teach not to cheat the other person. What is Shreyas? There is two words called Shreyas and Prayas in our culture. Shreyas means what? That which is beneficial to me without hurting others. Prayas means I'll be happy, but I'll be cheating another 10 people. So please teach me to that phrase, and I am surrendering to you. Remember the background I said? Arjuna recognized that problem. Arjuna understood his inability to solve that. Arjuna understood his lack of mental stability, and he solved for him. This is very important. Even this is we need to teach our teens. They have no idea that everybody think that they can solve that problem completely. They never seek help. So understand that there is a problem. Understand that your mental condition is not a conducive condition to solve the problem. So approach somebody. It need not be you. Somebody who you trust. Buddha's famous teaching. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. Ideally, you should seek a Buddha. If the Buddha is not there, seek Dharma. The scripture. If that is all you cannot understand because the scripture nobody can understand, that is Sangha. Some good people. And that's why you should have some good friends. I always highlight this, right? With whom we can talk openly. Could be your spouse, that's good enough. But that's very important. Because that means he or she may not be as intellectual as you, but when you are in that problem, your intellect is useless.
Exactly.
So that's why, because you think that how can he solve my problem? I'm much intelligent than him, but in that moment, your intellect is muted. Hijacked. That's what Arjuna said. My intellect is hijacked. So give me your intellect. Shishya. So there are those who seek knowledge are called into three categories in our culture. One is called Vidyarthi, the second one is called Antevasi, and the third one is called Shishya. Do you know the difference? Vidyarthi means the one who is desiring to get a knowledge. That doesn't mean that he will go and seek. That doesn't mean that he has the qualification to get study. So that's Vidyarthi. Second one is called Antevasi. Antevasi means he has the desire. He's a Vidyarthi. Plus, he puts effort. He goes to enroll for a course. At least he buys the book, etc. Shishya means what?
Recognized.
He is qualified to receive that teaching. One who is committed, qualified. And what is the characteristics you need for a Shishya? Two, our scriptures tells. One is open-mindedness. If you go there and say that, okay, this teacher is stupid, I cannot learn anything from him, gone. Second is what? Commitment. You have to have that commitment. It's not an easy path. So that is what is Shishya. The whole Sikh religion came from the word Shishya. The Shya is not there in Punjabi, it is Gha. So what? They are really committed people unto their gurus. For gurus, they will do anything. Wonderful tradition. One of the best culture in our country is Sikh people. They came from Pakistan with empty-handed and they built the whole Punjab. Wonderful. Thanks to these wonderful 10 gurus. I will talk about these gurus in between. Right from Nanak to Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Arjan Dev, right? Tej Bahadur. Arjan Dev was asked by Aurangzeb, like, ready to die or you change your religion and convert. He said, no. And Guru Gobind Singh's 2 children was killed in front of him. That much faith and strong, and also langar they started. The second Guru, Angad Dev, right? Anybody who comes to a Gurudwara will be fed. Even Akbar came there, right? And Guru Amardas said, you sat there just like an ordinary person. I cannot see you any differently because in front of God, there is no king. There's wonderful culture, right? So this is the quality, Shishya. So Arjuna said, I'm your Shishya, I'm surrendering to you. Please teach me. It is said that nobody can teach another person unless he's ready for it. You may tell everything to your child, but if he's not ready, nothing will go in. Even for you. How many things your parents said, right? At that time, we won't listen. Nothing will go in. So unless we are ready, nobody can teach anybody. That's a fact. So Arjuna is ready. So this is, I would pick this as one of the 18 verses. Means we'll pick 18 verses throughout the Gita, right? So this is the first one. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prischami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. This is anybody's problem. I'm an ordinary person. There are situations in life. I don't know what to do. I'm confused terribly. So at that point of time, I know that I'm helpless. I need to surrender to a teacher. So this is the point. One of the most important words in the Gita. Arjuna is able to state himself clearly the nature of his troubles. One is, this is the exact language used by Nataraja. I just copied his words. Look at the commentary, so brilliant. He tells the negative state of mind has overtaken me. Second thing is what? My intelligence is clouded. I cannot make a choice. I'm capable. That doesn't mean that I'm not capable of making a choice, but at this pressure, at this situation, I'm not capable. So what? He realized his helplessness and surrendered to the most qualified teacher in the world with the right attitude. This is brilliantly explained in this verse. So let's go. So the way out is, these are the 4 things highlighted. Be aware of the problem. I have a problem. 2, be aware of the mental condition. My mental condition is not in a place to solve that problem. 3rd is discover the helplessness. 4th is seek help from a qualified teacher. Approach the teacher with an open-mindedness and commitment. This is what the solution is. This is what this verse highlights. Brilliant, right? When you read Gita, these verses may not be highlighted like this earlier, right? This is, you have to understand the beauty of that verse. This is the great thing. So now 2 more verse. It's 3 minutes, we'll finish. This is just conclusion.
Avapya bhumavasapatnamriddham rajyam suranam api chadipatyam Sanjaya uvacha eva mukha rishikesham Gurakeshah parantapa nayotsya iti govindam ukva tushtim babhuvaha.
So Arjuna asked Krishna to help, and he just restate the problem one day. He said, like, I do not see anything can remove my sorrows, right? Why am I waging this war? I'm waging this war for a kingdom. He tells, even if I get this kingdom unrivaled, even if I get the most prosperous kingdom in the world, unrivaled kingdom in the world, I do not think that my sorrow will go away. Like, what he is pursuing, he said that even if the best outcome he gets, I'll be in terrible pain. So I'm confused. He's that unrivaled, prosperous over air and mastery over even gods. Even if I get the Devaloka, I'll not be happy. He tells my problem. So now, naturally, just like Mahabharata, Arjuna, then he became silent. So at that point of time, somebody has to give us the narration. The dramatization of the Mahabharata. The scene shifted to Sanjaya. Brilliant, right? So he tells Sanjaya Uvaja, Eva Muktva Rishikesham. Look at the word, we saw the word Rishikesha earlier, the Lord of sense organs. The one who has control over the situation, right? After saying this much to Rishikesha, who is capable of solving it, Gutha Kesha Parantapa. Arjuna was used 2 names. Gutha Kesha means what?
One who has conquered sleep.
Sleep, meaning one who can work he's not a lazy person who fall flat. If a lazy person fall flat, we know that it is an excuse, an escape route of the situation. He cannot. He's a hardworking person. He has control over the sleep, meaning he can hard work anything. And Parantapa, he is a warrior. Parantapa means, Tapa means burning, scorcher of all the enemies. He's a wonderful warrior. He fall flat. Then what? Nayotsya iti Govinda. Oh Govinda, we saw that who is Govinda the other day. I won't fight, oh Govinda. Uktva tushnim, he into a very sad state or a emotionally like a silent state. After speaking this much. So now a big job in front of Krishna to re-educate Arjuna. That's what it is. So we will see that from the first week of January. So happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year. So enjoy and please post any questions. And New Year Day we'll do a meditation. I'll send them invite.
New Year's Day.
Yeah, evening. Those who can come. We'll start with the meditation. What we will do is we will take a sankalpa. Sankalpa means that we will take a resolution, an affirmation, because next year, what you want, right? So please think about one thing. Don't think with 10 desires. It could be your health, or it could be your certification, or it could be something which you want your body to work. So it's don't say that I should win the lottery, etc. What I'm saying is only something that can happen within your body. We need to demystify this. So don't say that the neighbor should fall down. And don't type of relation. That is not the sankalpa. The sankalpa is I should be more healthy. If I have blood pressure, let that come down. If I have sugar, let that come down. What we are going to do is we are going to do a meditation and we are going to plant the sankalpa into the unconscious. Throughout the year, we are working on that sankalpa. So let's see how it is going to develop throughout the year.
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, it took 15 minutes extra. I thought the content is less to it, but I think I did a lot of